Betty. Sorry, how can I get the two names mixed up?
Who? Oh,
Yeah,
Betty.
it seems like Betty, Ralph, Hurl, Zubida,
It's like the enemy of my enemy is my friend kind of thing,
Esau.
isn't it?
Yeah, they've all
Oh
sort of like
God,
made
Esau.
this click now as well. It's weird, isn't it?
You're gonna you slag. Yeah, you're gonna get that though, isn't it, man?
And then now you got Afghan.
I thought he was leaving. He donated a bullseye in the village chat there and said he's leaving. About 10 minutes later, he's back on. Fuck off. Some of these people are nuts, man.
So what you guys saying? Urban's gonna do what?
Rip you a new one.
Yeah.
God,
I was joking.
I know.
How are you?
Okay. No different to normal. Yeah. So how long you been doing live streams?
Not long, really. It's just because I've started up another channel. I've been going down to Speaker's Corner, so I've started up another channel. I'm only using WeeMan's World just to sort of get the views up on this channel. So I'm streaming through two channels at the moment. Speaker's Corner After Party is the other channel.
Oh, I didn't know you had another channel.
Yeah.
So you going there tomorrow then? Because Brian Pearl's meant to be going there, isn't he?
Oh.
Yeah. I was there last time he was there as well. He doesn't know who I am, so.
When he was looking for me, when he was running around.
Yeah, when he was dancing with the aliens.
Yeah, what a weirdo.
Well,
yeah,
at least when you're talking about him, you're giving someone else a rest day.
Well, I talk about everybody. Everyone talks about me, so I think it's my right.
Yeah.
Yeah, why not?
Yeah.
Well, it's just a platform of opinions, isn't it, really?
It's funny though. It's funny though when you're in the chat and you're making comments, and then someone mentions it on the panel, you jump on and go, "Why are you talking about me?" Because you was in the chat making comments.
Yeah. Yeah, but sometimes I do it to trigger people so I can jump on.
Yeah, why not?
And sometimes I'll be saying that they're writing in the chat and I'll mention them just to piss them off. It's all my game, isn't it? You know what I mean?
It is.
It's just whether you've got a strong mind or not.
For you, maybe. I don't think mind games for everyone.
Oh, I think it's mind games for most of them. Yeah. I didn't think that when I first joined on the channels, but after about 2 weeks of abuse, I was like, okay, this is the way it is. I'm going to fucking give it back. So, yeah.
Yeah, which is fine. But the other problem is when you point out other people's behaviour, when you do the same yourself. That's the only thing, isn't it?
Well,
once you engage in it yourself, it kind of takes away the opportunity to point finger at other people.
I think we can all be guilty of being hypocritical on here sometimes, though.
Yeah, majority of us are.
But I would say we're all hypocrites, every single one of us.
Yeah, we've all been guilty of it at some point, I'd say. But that's how you learn, really, isn't it? It's whether or not, if you're consistently hypocritical, then...
Yeah, that's the difference. The thing is, people, you can change it. You can change your mind as well. You can come across hypocritical, but essentially, you've actually changed your position. As long as you make that point clear that your position's changed, then you can't be put down to hypocrisy.
Yeah, but there's people that change their mind and progress, and then there's people that change their mind and degenerate, and then there's others that just flip-flop consistently.
What categories do you think you come in?
I change my mind. I think sometimes it's been for the worse and sometimes it's been for the better. I've got my beliefs that I still hold to, but a lot of what's been said about me, people have gone along with without even, for example, yes, I've made racialized statements, but I'm not racist.
I think WeeMan likes this topic, this racialized language topic.
Yeah,
I know you might definition of what racialized language is.
Like I'll explain that in a minute. what else would I say? All the stories that are put out there are not true. For a start, my husband's not a cleaner; he's a roofer. I'm not on the dole.
You don't do the Uber driving no more.
He's never been an Uber driver.
Oh, you said he was an Uber driver.
Yeah, we said a lot of things just because people said it, so we went along with it. Why would we not? Why would we not take the piss back when people think that they're clever in being stereotypical and racist?
No, the toilet cleaning thing sort of come from aspects, and I never believed that. But when you actually said in a straight voice that he was an Uber driver, so I just took that as gospel. I don't. Yeah, no. I'm not a liar, so I don't expect people to not tell the truth. I always take people to be telling the truth on face value. So.
Well, unfortunately, there were so many people that lied on these channels that I just played them at their own game. You know. So when people think that they actually know me, they don't really know me. They don't.
You don't even know me.
Yeah. And I'm not saying I'm perfect, by the way. You might find out that if you know me, that you might hate me now. You might hate me even more if you found out what I really was or who I really am. I'm not saying that I'm better than what I am. I'm just saying that people who think they know me don't know me. Do you know what I mean? So, but yeah, to get back to racialized language. So I believe that you can speak in using racist, what some people would call racist
terminology.
Yeah. When you're not a racist. So I believe
when does it become racist to use racial terminology?
Right. So I would say if you're somebody that persistently goes after one person because of their race and is constantly on them because of their race and only because of their race, then yeah, you're racist. But if you're responding to racist tropes being thrown at you and you throw tropes back because they're stereotyping you, so you're going to tell them what it feels like, I believe that can be excused. I also believe as long as you are willing to accept that you're going to get criticism for it.
So when Wendy was being racially abusive to Esau, that's just one person. So would you say she's racist?
No, I would say that Wendy has used racialized language, and by that token, it is racist terminology. But I would say that Wendy, in the main, only reacts to what's being said to her, and people forget what's said to her, and they only go on. But then I haven't heard everything she has said. There are some things that have come to light that I wasn't aware of was said. For example,
that should never sleep with a black man.
Yeah, for example,
disgusting. The tone in what she said it is if it was like she was disgusted at the thought of it. Did you actually hear the clip?
No,
I was on the panel that day with the two of them when it was going off. I was there.
No, talking about a different one where she said that she would never sleep with a black man.
Oh, well, I was there when she was having the argument with Esau, and I've always said that for at least 2 days before she did let go and start being using racialized language towards Esau, it was at least 2 days he was like saying really nasty shit about her. Just really, he was goading her for at least 2 days. And I've always said that. But it doesn't mean that he was never racist towards her until she said what she said. Then he did start using racialized language towards her as well, calling her a white this and a white that. But she was the one that went to the racism first. And for me, that makes it nailed on that she's racist.
Right, so I'm going to tell you why I don't believe that she's racist. You don't have to agree with me.
No,
I'll tell you why. Because when I speak to Wendy offline as well as online, okay, I know that she has got friends and even family that are black, but that doesn't mean you can't be a racist. But what I would say is this: when Wendy reacts, right? She does it. She does it for a reason. Now, when with Esau, she didn't know nothing about him. None of us did. The only thing we knew that he had once said that if somebody called him the N word, it triggers him. And in the recesses of her mind, she knew that. So when he was going on and on and on at her, she wanted to hurt him the way he was hurting her. And I don't think any of the white men on these channels understand what the white women have gone through on these channels, to be fair.
Are you for real? Seriously?
Yeah, I don't think you are. I don't think
Listen,
they do.
I grew up with black. I don't have any mixed race relations. I'm by English. Yeah, I grew up with black people to a point where I was actually more or less shunned by my own white community on how close I got with the black community. I'm not married to one. I'm not in a relationship with one. I don't have children that are mixed or anything like that. I would never dream, no matter what was said to me, of calling somebody the N-word. Never dream of it. I wouldn't. It wouldn't even come into my vocabulary. I wouldn't.
It goes for both of us as well. Once you've stepped over that line, you've made that choice. No one's forced you to make that choice. Esau said something, like you say. Esau was saying really
Esau's
disgusting
a
things. And I agree. I agree that he was goading her for days. For days, she was ignoring him for days, and then she snapped that day. But does not mean that you have to go to racialized terminology to insult people. And that's where me and Urbz are from the school of like, that's a line you don't cross.
So you don't know, but I can understand why she did, and I'm not gonna take that back. She herself says that she realizes how bad it come across, and she's trying hard not to do it no more. Or
trying hard not to do it no more.
Yes, because
what's it? Addiction. She needs to go to rehab to stop using racialized language. Come on, Jupiter.
No, I don't know, but sarcasm, really, isn't it? You know what I mean?
If you was in the pub with Hector.
Yeah, well, let me put it this way. I'm not Wendy. I'm not going to promise that I'm not going to.
I'm saying if you was in the pub with Hector and you just down the pub and everyone's having fun or whatever, and a white lady gets in an argument with a black man and she starts calling him the N-word, are you just going to stand there and allow that?
If I was in a pub and a black bloke went on at somebody, a white woman picking on her for days and days on end, and then she came out with that, it wouldn't be none of my business.
Was it Wendy's choice?
I'm not going to get myself involved and defend someone that I've seen act hideously. Yeah, so, on that day, I did tell Wendy, I think you went too far. It's just that nobody ever bothers going that far along to listen.
Yeah, but it didn't stop there.
That's true. Huh?
It hasn't stopped there though, has it? That wasn't the last time she's done anything like that.
What do you mean?
Well, it wasn't the last time she's used racialized language towards someone of another race.
Yeah, but I don't know.
First, nor the last.
N-word again. I'm not sure that she has used the N-word.
And to be fair, the Wendy bashing is kind of fucking boring. To be fair, like it's been done on every channel. Everything's been said. In my opinion, she's a clear-cut racist. Like, and you can be you just because you don't like one race. Being racist doesn't mean you have to hate all races. You can like one race and not like another.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, that's true.
Well, we've also got to remember, like you said, Urbz, we had the luxury of growing up in multicultural society where, like, from young, we've always known it to be how we are. We sort of.
WeeMan, don't get me wrong. In the late 80s, early 90s, all my friends were like racist to a point. Like, we still do you know what I mean? We still called fucking.
Yeah, but you was only young then, innit?
Yeah, and to be fair,
we sort of went through understanding of knowing how black people actually felt when like certain jokes were made and this, that, and the other. Yeah. We were the ones that sort of understood it because we sort of, our friends would explain it to us.
my family was never racist. My mum and dad always had my family. There's not one person in my family that was ever racist. The most racist term I ever heard was my great granddad, my mum's granddad, and he called black people darkies. Never in a derogatory term. Never said anything bad about black people, but he did call black people darkies, and that's the closest thing I ever heard in my background to do.
See, I never. I've said that look, I will say the only racist terminology I ever heard growing up, and when I said it, people took it the wrong way, was people would refer to the local pea shop as a pea shop, and it wasn't said in a way that was derogatory. I know people don't understand that, but it was just.
Yeah, but that's what I wanted to say with my point. Your generation, that generation, sort of, you grew up in that sort of terminology and mind frame. Like, you just have to watch Only Fools and Horses and things like that, or In the Same Pet and things like that. You would see that there's a different sort of mindset when it comes to racism. Then it wasn't the same as how it is now.
No, I remember the first time I watched Scum with Ray Winston, and remember when the fight breaks out with the black kid. It was like, you fucking jungle bunny, you black Brixton slag. Like, we thought, like, when I was a kid, I thought it was funny. Like, no, it's wrong.
Yeah. No, I never grew up with any of that.
You would try and use that as you'd say that to someone when you're getting into a fight or something, and then you'd find out from your mates that you can't say shit like that.
Yeah. See, I never grew up with any of that. I never see racism at school. Never see in the household. We never spoke about differences. I grew up. Well, up until the age of 5, I lived in the East End of London, and then my parents, before they bought their property in Blackheath, we lived on the Ferrier Estate. And if anyone knows the Ferrier Estate, that's a hot pot of different races. I never ever saw racism ever. And even when we used to say the pea shop, like I say, it wasn't to be derogatory to the owner. In fact, there was actually people that were Pakistani that would say that themselves. You know, that lived amongst us. We would say, "Oh, can you go to the pea shop?"
I know, but now at the age we are now, we can understand that we might not have meant it to be racist, but the people on the receiving end of it could have perceived it as racism, and in a sense hurt their feelings. And why would you want to hurt someone's feelings?
Yeah, but that's why I do a lot. But that's why I do a lot of what I do, because I want to expand people's minds, because I think that we've been boxed in and labelled unfairly. Lots of people unfairly, because if I was to take offence at being called a Brit and not British, would people take me seriously? Would people take me seriously if I said that?
I don't even call myself British at all. I call myself English.
But it's different, Jupiter. If something happened in this country and we had to flee to another country, and people call us dirty fucking Brits and attacking us, calling us dirty fucking Brits, and then 10, 20 years later, they're still calling us Brits, and it still resonates to us from 20 years ago when it was derogatory.
You got to remember as well, a lot of people that come into this country, like when you had the Windrush, there were people invited, and recently you had the Polish, the Eastern Europeans all invited. Like, they were asked to come here to do a job, and then we're all calling them dirty this, that, and the other.
That's going off on a tangent, but sticking to racialized language, I would say that in the last 15 years, okay, the racism that's levelled against people just for being white British or white English, part of the UK, we have seen that kind of hate, and they always bring up slavery, which was 200 years ago, that none of us are related to. They none of them were slaves, and none of us were the slave masters, because we're from a different generation, different time completely.
Yeah, but they're still living with the repercussions of that, though. That's what they're trying to point out.
But that doesn't mean to say that they should take it out on white people that were not connected to it.
Of course not. But by attacking each other, it also doesn't help anything, does it?
Well, it doesn't, but unfortunately, on these channels, if you try and take the sensible approach, they think you're weak.
Yeah,
They think you're,
Yeah,
and
but
that's something
what does that?
very, very quickly, Urban. No, they think you're weak.
What does it? Yeah, but what does it matter what they think? You should lead
Well,
by
it means
example.
if you want to get your voice heard,
exactly.
you have
When
these
it's
controversial, emotive subjects discussed.
no, but when you're
Yes,
from a
Melly,
certain
my
age
age.
group, when you're from a certain
Sid.
age group, you are supposed to lead from example, and that's the problem I've always had with you and Wendy. You don't lead by example.
But I don't say that I'm a leader, and I don't say that I want followers either. I just open up topics to discuss.
Yeah, but I'm not saying that you intentionally go out there saying that you're a leader, follow me, blah blah blah. But you are on social media platforms with a voice and your opinion. So your opinion and your actions should lead by example.
Well, I think I do. You see, the
Jupiter,
difference is people don't always understand what I'm saying or why I'm saying what I say, and they
Yeah,
don't.
I understand what you're saying. You're saying when younger people like Raspect or what was the young girl's name?
Yeah,
I
but
can't remember. But anyway, the younger
people are
people
saying
online,
things to
Zabida
trigger.
as well, they're younger people. So when you're lowering yourself to their standards, you're then lowering yourself to that sort of age group. You're behaving as that sort of age group where you're supposed to lead by example. That's all I'm saying.
Mm. I can understand what you're saying, but I think if look in psychology, right? I don't know. Have you ever watched that nanny show where the woman where she's when they say that you have to go down to the level of the child and look them in their eye?
Yeah, Nanny SOS or whatever it's called. They get the
Yeah.
bird in to look after you, teach you how to
Sometimes
look
you
after
have
your
to
kids.
drop to the level of a teenager and speak in teenage speak. And but with Zubida, that's exactly what you have to do. You have to drop to her level, talk to her.
You don't have
Yeah,
to do
hang on.
anything. You don't have to
No, but
engage. She's not your daughter. She's not a relation. You don't work with her.
no,
You
no,
don't
but
have to do
if you're
anything.
trying to bridge relations and you're trying to get an understanding of other people and why other people see things the way that they do, then you kind of do have to engage with them. But when you say you have to, like, when the nanny's saying you have to, it's not saying to. The nanny's not saying to throw yourself on the floor and start screaming and shouting like a child. It's saying to bring your conversational skills down to that level so that you can communicate with them in a certain way so that they will calm down and blah 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 and behave and do whatever it is that you're asking them to do. Whereas if she calls you a fat this that and the other and then you call her a fat that's you're not communicating with her in the teenager way. You're actually acting as a teenager.
Yeah, I'm mirroring her.
Yeah.
And then when people ask me what I'm doing, I say I'm mirroring her.
Yeah, but that's
And then
not very.
realise
It's not an adult thing to do, is it?
well, it depends.
It's like when Ralph goes there, blah 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 blah. Won't let anyone
It's
talk.
like baby.
He
It's
looks like a
like
fucking
baby.
child.
Yeah, exactly.
Mm.
Jupiter, let's say like I'm not trying to bring your kids into it, but your kids are teenagers. I ain't gonna go too far into it. But let's say, for example, this little thought experiment that the class decided that the teacher decided they was going to look into like YouTube streams and that, and they played to the class some of the content from the streams. Do you think your children would be proud of the behaviour?
I don't think my children would care. It's not like I hide away from my kids what I do and say online. In my local community, in the local school.
You think they'd be proud?
Yeah, I'm proud of myself. Yeah.
Your online behaviour, you think, is something to be proud of?
I think that my online behaviour has always been for a reason. So there are things that I've done that are controversial, but I can explain why I've done it or why I've said it. I don't expect everybody to agree with me and praise me up and lift me up. I expect people to open up discussions on what I do and what I say, and it seems to work. People talk a lot, and it does open debate. When I first come onto these channels, white women, more than white men, but white women were really, really suffering on these channels. There was hardly any of them. since I've been on, you've got that you've got Cam, Shell, Bats, Emily Luca, all of these people that were just in side chats that have not because of me directly, indirectly, that have come out and started making their own channels. They've evolved themselves. They've gone off in their own directions, but at least they're now speaking. When I first came onto these channels, the abuse that was thrown at white women was absolutely hideous and disgusting.
But give an example of that, please, because I don't recall.
So when
I've been streams as long as you have. I remember when you was Miss Southeast on Raj's chat, Mally Cinder's chat, and that when the streaming first started. I remember them days. And I don't remember white women being abused, to be fair. But my memory's not perfect. I can't remember everything.
Okay, so when I was Miss Southeast and I was over in Raspek's chat, people were fine with me until they realised that I was white and I had a Nigerian husband, and then they switched, and that was in the side chat.
That was because you was white, or because of your beliefs or frame of mind.
Same comments I would make as a black as what they thought was a black woman. They would big me up, greet me, agree. The minute they found out white skin saying it, they changed. Yeah.
Raspek's channel loved A. A's white. She never got any abuse.
The thing is with A, how can I put it? A is exactly the same as Lister.
Yeah, but they're both white, and they don't.
So she admits that she's white, but she kneels to blackness.
She what?
She becomes subservient to black people.
Would you say me and Urbz have become subservient to black people?
Yeah, partially. I wouldn't say you're as bad as A, but yeah, I would say you cuck a little bit. I would say that you don't come across as being, well, I don't know if you are white, to be honest, but you don't come across as proud white men.
Wow, I'm a very proud white Englishman.
I wouldn't be. I'm very proud white Englishman. I mean, I just don't see that there's much like the color of my skin doesn't have a bearing on my personality.
No, it shouldn't do. I agree with you. But unfortunately, in the world,
it really has. It should have. In this day and age, it really should have really little to do with anything in my life.
Well, of course, but on these channels, it's a different world. It's not reality. So when people say that Speaker's Corner is a microcosm of the real world, I don't agree. I don't agree at all.
No,
I think that, I think the little bubble from Speaker's Corner is just that, a little bubble of unreal ideals of extremists, full of extremists from the far left, the far right, you know, and
mental
health, yeah. And so in this little world of Speaker's Corner, identity politics is the main ethos. And if you don't play into that, I mean, like I said, I don't know whether you two would consider yourselves white, if you are actually white, whatever.
I definitely consider myself white.
In the real world,
85% English.
Okay. In the real world, it wouldn't matter, but on these channels, it does.
See, I consider anyone that's got sort of like blue eyes or green eyes to be white. So to be with her blue eyes, I would say is white.
I would agree with you. I'd say she's white.
I wouldn't call her white. I'd say she's Arabic. I don't think that's white. I don't think they've got olive skin.
Yeah, but Arabic isn't a color.
No, but they've got
Arabic
olive skin.
isn't a color. You can't say
if
basing things on a color. Arabic isn't a color.
Us as an English person, yeah, we go and sit with someone with olive skin, Mediterranean, or whatever. We both go and sit in the sun for.
No, but you've changed the word from white to English. You've changed the word from white to English.
White to olive skin. Fucking hell.
Yeah, but that's what I mean,
bro.
There's colors and then there's nationality. Race and nationality are two different things.
Yeah, the olive skin.
I don't think the two. When people talk about white people, they're generally talking about English people or British people
Europeans. But I don't
Yeah.
think
But
Mediterranean.
it's not normally Europeans unless they specifically point out it's European.
I don't class Mediterranean.
And then they turn around and say, all right, it's not all white people, it's just the racist ones. But you can't generalize by color. Generalizing by color just doesn't make any sense whatsoever. You have so many different breed of people that are black, that are brown, that are white. You have you have rapists, you have thieves, you have hardworking people, you have religious people in all different shades of color. So you can't use color.
Our strongest sense is our eyes. So the first thing we use is our sight. So the first thing we use is appearance, and it's a generalization. So
this is the problem, right? We had Martin Luther King's take on it, which is what Urban is saying. I think it was Urban, who's saying, you know, colour shouldn't mean anything, and I actually agree with that stand, believe it or not. And then you've got this new world identity politics, critical race theory, and all this bollocks that says actually it's racist if you don't recognise that someone's a different colour. And this is the identity politics that you're seeing played out on the channels. And that's why
I don't think there's anything wrong with accepting that we're different colours. Like there's beauty in every colour.
Exactly. It's just a different shade. That's all it is.
Yeah,
it's just different shades. It means absolutely nothing. When you're talking about being proud English or proud British, that's a different thing, in my opinion. You're talking about your heritage of the land that you grew in, your ancestors, the ruling of the country, and blah, blah, blah. So that's not colour. That is completely different from a colour.
Yes.
Because the same colour people doing completely different, that have different heritage, that have different cultures, that are still the same color, but they're not the same people, so it's different.
Yeah, but do you know what it's like though, WeeMan? Yeah, you know, like Ford. Yeah, Ford might make 10 different types of car, but they're all a Ford. And I might say, if I'm giving you a description and all I see was a Ford, I say it was a Ford. I might not be able to tell you it was a Mondeo or a Focus, but I know it was a Ford, and it's the same thing. It was a black person, it was a white person. That's just the quickest way to identify without going in full depth.
But making a description of someone and adding what color they are isn't racist, in my opinion. That's just a descriptive description, isn't it? It's all it is.
For me, racism has to be derogatory. If it's not derogatory, then it's not racist.
Yeah, it's for me the definition, the Oxford definition, which is discrimination against someone because of the color of their skin, is the definition of racism.
Right, so this is where we go back to racialized language again, and this is why I say you can have racialized language without being racist. So, for example, you witness a robbery and the person was a white person robbing a black person, and you say that in your statement. That's not racist. That's not racist. That's racial.
No, that's not racialized language. To give a description of someone's colour is racialized language.
You're still
racialized language.
Hang on, let Jupiter finish.
Sorry. No.
Yeah, so it is because you're actually defining them by their skin color and you're bringing it into it. Obviously, if you're looking for somebody that's perpetrated a crime, the easiest way of finding out who's done it is to give a good description. Now, because of people saying that you can't use racialized language at all, and some people getting offended, we've now come to a place in society. I think it's Sweden, where they're not even allowed to use those terms, and therefore they're not catching criminals.
Yeah, but that's
it's wrong. And yeah, it is the extreme, and that's what I mean.
Jupiter, you're using a definition of racialized language to saying as even describing someone's race, but you've used the racialized language as a defense when you've actually used derogatory racist terms. So there's like two definitions you're using there.
Right, okay, so let me give you another example that I believe is racialized language, and people have made a fuss for no reason. There was a news report where someone got beat up. It was a racist attack, And they knew it was a racist attack because as the person was assaulting the other person, they were shouting out the N-word. When the BBC reported it and they used the N-word in full to describe the actual situation, they said that that was racist. That's racialized language. It's not racism.
See for me, see the N-word. I hear that word. It's like scratching a chalkboard. It's like, ooh, I hear it. I'm like, ooh, I don't like to hear it. Like it's just. I don't understand. It is only a word, and it shouldn't actually. Should it actually make me feel like that? Whether or not it should or shouldn't, it does have that effect on me. I hear that word, and I think, ooh, straight away. Like, it's not a nice
thing. In the real world, say my husband was to get into an argument in the real world, and someone called him a black so and so, right? Whatever a horrid connotation they want to add onto the end of it. He wouldn't give a shit about the black part. He would give a shit about the connotation.
Well,
because he would say, I'm black and I'm proud to be black. So why
if I was
should I
walking down the street, if I was walking down the street and Hector was walking on the other side of the street and someone called him an M-word, I would probably react quicker and faster than he would.
Probably because
I wouldn't be able to sit there. I'm not saying that he needs defending. I'm not saying that anyone needs defending, but that's the way it make me feel. I'd be like, are you fucking taking the fucking piss? Like, what the fuck are you saying that for?
It depends. Because in the real world, the way that Hector sees it, if you're calling him the N-word, you're referring to his colour, and he's not ashamed of his colour. So why should he be offended by you doing that? However, it would depend on how emotive the situation was. Because I've seen times where people have said the N-word. He's not even bothered. And then other times I've seen someone say something and he's just fucking whacked on one. So it would depend. And I think in real life it does depend. I think the truth is, the blanket, you can't generalize colour like someone said earlier, but you can't generalize the people using the languages either. So I think there's much more to it than just the language. For me, a real racist has got to actually want to affect you. They've got to want to affect your real life. And unfortunately,
it's not even to want to. It's a racism is a mindset. You might not ever say anything to anyone, but you hate inside you. You hate black people. You walk past them, you hate them. You're in the shop standing next to them. You hate even being like, and you would never ever know that someone felt that way. That is the feeling of racism.
People would suggest I'm a racist when I've got black children, I've got a black husband, and I've got black in-laws.
Yeah, what's that got to do with Asian people?
Well, not a lot really, but let me just put it this way: I've got close friends that are Asian.
Yeah, but you can.
In my real world, you can have people that from different backgrounds where you can talk openly because you've built up a rapport or a trust, and you know where someone's coming from. You can tell from their body language that it's just an open discussion. You're not trying to offend anybody. Unfortunately, on these channels, that doesn't work.
I think there's people that like individuals of another race, especially if they conform to what they think, and if they don't, then the racism starts. So
yeah, in a way, I suppose. Look, I'm not going to say that I'm not prejudiced. I've never ever said I'm not prejudiced. I think British culture is a culture to honour and uphold. I think anyone that moves to Britain should want to uphold the British culture. For instance, if I went to Nigeria, I wouldn't see anything wrong with them wanting me to uphold the Nigerian culture. I don't understand why people take it.
There's different form of migration. If you was to migrate to Nigeria, that would be like a choice. that you was making, and you would be financially stable, and you would want to be a part of their
No,
society.
not necessarily, but it's the same for people migrating here. They've chosen to come.
What would you say the British culture is then?
Right. So for me, British culture is is marriage of one woman, one man. It's white weddings. It's christenings. It's majorly based around Christianity. But even if you take Christianity away, we've also got a lot of paganistic beliefs. We've got a lot of pagan, like May Day dancing. We've got a lot of those ceremonies and sort of rituals and things that we have in this country. But also, it's order. With the British people do like order. We like orderly cues. We like everybody being given respect. We like courteousness. I'm not saying that we are all courteous, but we do like it. In general, we like fair play. We don't like. You will find that we like we like
that's nice
as well. We're very inquisitive people. So I would say British culture is a core of old traditions with an amalgamation of the best from every
wait.
Urbz, are you talking to Jupiter or are you talking to...
Oh, sorry. The family just come on. One sec. I can't put it on mute because the phone's upstairs. Alpha,
let me try and mute you.
Wait there, 1 minute. Yeah, mute me.
How do I mute you? There. So, with that said, Jupiter, would you say things like what we see in today's charts, would you class that as British culture?
In today's chart?
Yeah, like the music that you see today that's coming out of Britain that's done by English or British born people.
Yeah, I would say it's British. Even if it's black singers, mainly black singers and stuff, if it's created in Britain, it's British.
That would be a part of our culture.
Yeah, of course it'd be part of our culture because British culture. What makes our
no, that's how I see it. I see it as it's our culture. I think people like Raspet wouldn't see it as British culture. He'd see it as black culture.
Yeah, and I think that's very wrong of them, and that I don't like that because I think it's segregation. So for me, I think that we've got to get past this black community, white community. And understand that we do have people from other ethnic backgrounds. We've got an echo.
The ice cream man's. I'm just going to get an ice cream and I'll be back on in a minute.
It's the ice cream man in the background.
Yeah, go on, see.
Yeah, and I would say that we should all be allowed to be proud of what comes out of Britain, regardless of the colour.
Yeah, I do think that certain people are reluctant to accept what the youngsters are doing today as British culture when it's coming out of Britain, so it should be classed as British culture.
Yeah. And we used to be like, if you think just before all this identity politics bullshit, if we had a boxer that came from Britain that was indigenously, and I say indigenously, but well, they would be born here, so I would say they were indigenously British, but other people would say ethnically they were, I don't know, Nigerian or Jamaican.
Yeah, we have like AJ.
We never worried that about that. We might respect their culture if they spoke about it in an interview, but mainly we saw them as British. And there's been a very, very big effort to try and stop us from feeling like that. And that is what I disliked, because it's doing more harm than good. So there's been a very concerted effort to try and make us say, oh no, but they're not British because they're not white, basically.
Yeah, but I think a lot of white people do say that. I think Wendy's been in the past saying, "Well, they're not English; they can't be English." Like Braden, for instance, he says it quite a lot. He said it: "If you're not white, then you definitely aren't English." And he's
Yeah,
half Irish.
Braden was messed up in the head. Braden, I feel sorry for Braden, and I know a lot of people say I shouldn't do.
Yeah, but unfortunately, there is a few people with that mindset of if you're not white, then you definitely can't be English. You have to be English to be white.
Right. So there's a difference between saying ethnically you're not English to generally colloquially you are.
Mm.
So for me personally, I would say that there's three core things that you have to that can make you English. If you're born on the soil of England, if you're brought up in English culture, and if you're ethnically English. Okay. Now, for
Yeah.
me, I'm one of these people that would say, even if you're not ethnically British, yeah, if
Yeah.
you're brought up in the culture and you're born here, you have the birthright of an English person, and you know the culture, then that is enough to make you English, in my opinion. But the other people will say no. You have to have that third core component. And that third core component, to me, is where you either the difference between a CivNat and an FNAT. But what I find with these FNATs is that when you break them down, a lot of them don't have the other two components. So what you'll find is that a lot of these people that are claiming that they're FNAT and they want the best of Britain are ethnically English if they go back into their heritage, but they've been born and raised in Australia, America, Spain, Thailand, all these different places, and you find that they want to come and influence what the British are, and I don't like that. That's why you see me arguing a lot with the FNATs, because
when you say come and influence, a lot of the time it's not a bad thing. We've benefited from the influence of other races, other cultures coming here. Our food in this country now, the variety of flavors and choice that we have compared to when our grandparents were growing up, say, it's a lot more influence from outside of the country. So we benefited a lot from that.
yeah, we have benefited a lot from it. No, look, when I say people from outside are coming in and influencing, I'm talking about these FNATs. I wasn't talking about in general.
Yeah.
I'm talking about these FNATs that to look at them are white. For example, someone like Elron.
Right.
Elron
Okay.
will come onto a channel and he will say that he's closer to me genetically than my two mixed race children. That's ridiculous.
Yeah.
They're carrying 50% of my genes.
Yeah.
He wants to try and claim that he's got more right to this land than my children because he's 100% white.
Yeah.
Right?
That's just pure racism.
And when you get speaking to a lot of these FNATs, they don't seem to understand what ethnicity is, because an ethnic German is not the same as an ethnic English. So when he comes in and he says, I'm ethnically the same as you. No, you're not. You're not an FNAT. You're a race nat because you see colour.
Yeah,
To
he's a racist. He would be what I would class as a nailed on racist, because you've got people that like yourself that use this racialized language, and you're not always trying to be offensive when you do it, and when you do try and be offensive, if it's in your you say it's in your defense of being racially attacked first. So it's different. Whereas Elron, he is just pure racist because everything he thinks about is based upon the color of people's skin. So it's different levels. And then I would say Elron will come under the bracket of race supremacist. So I think there's a difference when you say someone's a racist and you say someone's a race supremacist. Someone that's a race supremacist is like Elron, who's completely like his whole mindset is based on what color you are, is what helps.
Yeah. And so that's why I spend as much time as I do online for that particular reason, because there are many people that are smart enough to understand the nuances and to understand the gradients, but there's a hell of a lot of people that aren't and are being hoodwinked and radicalized. So I'm willing to take all the criticism that's thrown at me, because then I get a chance to respond, even though it's in a lot of cases it's not in full as much as I would like. But I do get a chance to respond, and it does wake some of these people that are getting radicalized up. I've applauded the people that have been radicalized, especially people that I know that most of it is mental health. For example, Braden, he definitely got radicalized. I met Braden in the park before he got radicalized, and then ended up arguing with him over his radicalization and some of the things he said. But despite what people think, the time that me and Hector went down to meet Braden, Hector did speak to Braden. He did speak to him on the down low about what he was doing and how he was getting radicalized and stuff.
I think I was there that day.
You know, I did also getting into it. But I have got a dark sense of humor, and some of the stuff he was saying was outrageous, and at the same time comedic to me. It was just, you have to understand, sometimes when I see a racist, whether they be black or white, they can say the most stupidest of things, but to me it's comical because it's so stupid. But a lot of people can't see that.
What would you, when you say that, what would you say? Would you class Raspect as a racist, a black racist?
Right, Raspect, I would say that Raspect does a lot of things that if a white person were to do it, he would say it's racist. So going by his own judgment, yes. Yeah. Me personally, no. I think he's misguided.
But has he ever said anything like racist that's made you laugh, like Braden has?
Yeah, when he said things about white people that is completely stupid. Let me think. Which is why I would continue to go back there. But despite what a lot of people think, I didn't actually hate Raspect. No. I just thought that he was misguided, and that he was very good at propaganda, and that there were and that there were people that were just like Braden, but within the black community, that didn't understand nuance, and he was guiding them the wrong way. That's what I felt with Raspect. So Raspect does stupid stuff sometimes that would make me giggle, and I'd think, oh, for good sake.
But don't you think it's like what you said earlier? It's not real. It's all just YouTube. Like even with Raspect, even with these FNACs, like.
No, right now I'm going to explain why. When it comes to these particular groups, no, because with Raspect, he went on to make a Forever Family, and he's gone on to do TV shows. So it's more than that.
Raspect was doing TV shows and being on the TV long before he went to Speaker's Corner, though.
Yes, and that's why you can tell that he brought the real world into it and used the Speaker's Corner for his own political gain. He used propaganda, and to be honest, I think he's done a lot of damage to the race relations in this country. I think that
he's a he's a miniature one. Yeah.
Yeah, I'd agree that he's definitely done some damage, because even in his own community, he seems to attack people.
Yeah, and
for the wrong reasons.
And the problem as well, he also brought religion into the mix, which created more of a separation. So he's done more to help the separatists than a lot of other people have.
But that's why, from what you've said today, Jupiter, wouldn't you say that you've used these streams for your political agenda?
Yes.
You said but his was for unity of his own people. So it's the same thing, isn't it?
Yeah, but he didn't really. No, I get what you're saying as well, Urbz. Like, Jupiter's done a good job as what Raspect's done in bringing race relations together. I get what you're saying.
Yeah, it's everyone. What I'm saying is, there's not much difference between most of the people, especially the outspoken people. They're all trying to get their message across for their own advantage. They're using these streams for their own advantage. But essentially, it is all just online, isn't it? Like,
Right,
and a
so-
lot of it's been proved. Like Jupiter, how long? Like all the stuff and all the hate that you've got on you for whatever reason, your address has been out there. No one's ever turned up to your door, have they?
No, because essentially they know they're putting out propaganda. And
No,
that's
because
because
it hasn't been brought into the real world.
and that's it. And that's well, I don't know about that. I did get assaulted at Speaker's Corner. I've also been arrested in my house on false allegations.
But if you didn't go seeking Isabella and start screaming and shouting, it took some.
To be fair, now Isabella started that. She threw the drink over Jupiter first.
Yeah, but she was confronting her. She carried on something that happened online.
No, a court of law found in my favour, Evan.
I was there.
I'm not saying she's completely innocent. I'm not saying she's completely innocent. But what I'm saying is, Jupiter, as an adult, you could have avoided that situation.
I will defend Jupiter here because I was there, and the fact that Isabella, like Jupiter, was walking around ignoring Isabella all day long, and Isabella was kind of doing the same until she kind of decided she had had enough, and Isabella then decided she was going to push the drink over Jupiter.
It looked like I wasn't there, so all I know is what I see on the camera. And it looked like she threw the drink when Jupiter was in her face. Is how it came across.
Yeah, because she had walked past and said something to Jupiter first. This is what I mean. She was sort of
okay.
Yeah.
So what
you don't realise, Urban, is that the camera's only got attracted by me going towards Isabella. Before that, she had consistently been walking past, making comments, deliberately trying to be antagonistic. And I had ignored her for quite a bit before I eventually went over to her. Yeah.
The thing with our tempers, being triggered or whatever, most of the time it's uncontrollable, isn't it? That's what a temper is. Like, someone's done something and you haven't been able to control your reaction, and I'm more than guilty of that every day of my life. But
what you need to understand, Urban, right? And I appreciate that you haven't really got much time for me, if we're truthful. I know that you're not very keen on me as a person, so I would say that your prejudice kicks in a little bit. Because to be fair, it was her that resorted to violence and didn't control herself, not me.
Yeah, but as an adult and a young girl, like I feel that you could have avoided it. I'm not like I said, I'm not blaming you for your reaction, because we're all individuals and we all deal with things in a different way.
You kind of got to remember, we're at Speaker's Corner, and then there's someone that's walking past you trying to goad you, and then all of a sudden you go up to them and you say, all right, what's your problem, blah blah blah, and then they throw a drink at you. Then, do you know what I mean? Jupiter hasn't really done anything that I wouldn't have done.
We can try and look at stuff from other people's point of view, but essentially we look at it through our own point of view. And so I am looking at my own point of view, not saying whether it's right or wrong, but personally, there's nothing that could happen in Speaker's Corner that would make me react in such a way. Personally, and I'm not going to judge anyone.
What way did Jupiter act? Jupiter didn't actually react. All she did was go up to her and say, well, what's your problem then? We're at Speaker's Corner. That's what you do. You have debates with people that have got a difference of opinion with you. So that's all Jupiter did, is go up to her and say, well, what's the problem then? She's obviously got a problem because you keep coming past and you keep doing these sly little digs and da-da-da. So I don't think Jupiter done anything wrong in that sense.
Just ignore it.
Yeah, you could ignore it.
Oh, this little shit. Kind of fucking shit. One set, I've got fucking people looking at me like I brought a bag out with me.
What?
I've got to pick it up, and I'm like an upstanding member of the community, you know.
The other thing that bothers me here is that we've got this thing going around the channels where young women or young men should be deemed as too young to understand what they're doing. See, I grew up in the days where when you became 18, you become responsible for yourself. And at 21, I used to like. I remember when I was 21 and I had my 21st birthday party, like it's a tradition, another tradition of British people. And I can remember laughing with my family that years ago, 21 was the age where you got the key to the door, but I was already an adult at 18 and working. Now it seems that we're going backwards and we're saying, 23-year-olds, 25-year-olds, they're only babies. They're not. They're fully grown adults.
They're not. Some of them aren't, and
I
you've
wouldn't
got to
say- I wouldn't
remember,
say
not
they're fully
everyone
grown.
has the luxury of the same upbringing as other people do. I mean, some people don't have both parents, for instance, so they don't get to have the same luxury. Some people grow up in care and things like that. Some people grow up in homes, and not everyone has the same luxury of the same upbringing.
No, I completely agree. No, I completely agree with Jupiter. They are at an age where they are responsible for their own actions. There's no doubt in that whatsoever. But as someone who's older and more experienced, how you deal with them should maybe be a little bit different, because they're not educated enough in life. You're kind of it's essentially it's
They're
like
still
a
at a point where they're making mistakes. They're not fresh out of school, but they haven't been out of school for too long. They've been to college or anything. They haven't really got into the real world until you start work.
I would say this: if I was to be fair, I would say that Isabella and Zubida would probably have more street knowledge than I would. I would say
Isabella, I don't think is quite right because she's not well.
Well, that's the ironic thing, actually. Isabella was tested for mental illness and she passed.
Yeah.
It was all an act at the park.
No way rolling around on the floor having a tantrum like a 2-year-old is normal. No
she
way.
Passed. I'm telling you, she passed.
Yeah.
She was certified.
That is not normal behaviour, though, is it? Come on. She literally had a tantrum like a 2-year-old on the floor.
Well, I suspect that was because she knew that the court case was coming up and she wanted to try and use that as her argument.
Can I just bring something up quickly as well before I forget? You were saying about white women being attacked online and stuff, and then you said about that I don't much like your character or whatever, and I just want to just elaborate on that quickly. And when I sort of changed how what I thought about you was when we was trying to explain to you what Eazy-E was doing to Emily, and you wouldn't accept it. And not only would you not accept it, you went on the attack on Emily and started making streams about her and saying she was this and she was that. And essentially it all came out in the end that Emily was telling the truth and she wasn't the one at fault. I've never seen her get an apology for it.
Right,
I've never seen her get an apology for the way people reacted towards her.
Right, well, I don't feel I owe Emily an apology, and I'm going to explain why. When Emily and Eazy-E fell out, okay, it wasn't long after Emily had made her own channel. And I'd actually gone on to Emily's channel, like I've gone on to this one. I go on to all the new channels. And I went on to Emily's channel. I was fine with Emily. I don't feel, hold on, let me finish. Don't cut me in. I don't feel that me and Emily were ever that particularly close in the first place, right?
No,
there was a clicky little group that I wasn't. Would you accept there was a clicky little group that I wasn't part of? Because that's as far as I'm concerned, that's how I used to see it. There was a little group of people that I wasn't particularly part of, right? But at the same time, I was cool. I didn't have an issue with them. At the same time, I was cool with them. I didn't have an issue with them, but I wasn't part of their little group, right? I think Easy was, you was, I think WeeMan was, I think Steve Atheist or whatever she calls herself, she was, Yum Yum, another one. There was a little group, right?
Yeah.
That were like a group of friends. Now, I'm going to have to go back a little bit to bring it forward. I had fell out with Real, and then I came back onto his channel because he said that he didn't mind if I came on, right?
Yeah.
And when I came on, I walked into a situation where there was this new person called Amy at the time, and she was in the middle of an argument with Emily, right? And I could see all this going on in the side chat, okay? And I actually stuck up for Emily because to me, from an outside point of view, it just looked like this new person had come along and started rows with the regulars, right? And I felt real owed it to the regulars. Obviously,
Yeah,
I
I
now
agree
know
with that.
there's more of a backstory. There's more of a backstory to that, to do with AC and other stuff that I don't really still understand the full picture of, right? But I stuck up for her. So I didn't have a prejudice against Emily before people say that. I didn't, right? When Easy and Emily fell out, okay, Easy said it was one thing, Emily said it was one thing. To be honest, I didn't really give a fuck. All I tried to
But
do
you
was
took the
stop
side.
my
You took
argument.
the side. But you took the side of Izzy, though. You
No, I
took his
didn't. That
word.
was your
I mean,
perception. No, I didn't. Not first of all. Hold on. Not first of all. That was your perception. The same advice I gave to Easy, I gave to Emily. Emily got offended that I gave her the advice, and Easy got offended that I gave him the advice. It was exactly the same. And the advice I gave them both was just ignore each other, move on. Emily's got a right to do her show. You've got a right to do your show. Carry on with your shows. Stop arguing with each other, and people will still come to both shows.
but you weren't aware of what was going on in the background of the viciousness of what he was doing with emails and phone calls and stuff and threats. But
True.
and then when,
That-
and
true.
I myself and someone that when you was kicked off reels, when you was kicked off streets, and you all fell out, I would sometimes I'd be the only person in your chat giving you support. And when I was trying to let you know what was going on with Easy without getting too involved, you went against me as well.
No,
It was
I
all
went
about
against
what it became.
you writing
What it
silly
became.
shit.
What it became was defend Easy because you thought it was Islamic people mostly behind it. Defend Easy, you and Wendy defend Easy at any means necessary. No matter what anyone says, we have to defend Easy.
No, that's not the case.
And
So
I think
then
you
what
was
happened?
hoodwinked. I think you was hoodwinked by, and I myself at one point was hoodwinked by Easy's. Like we thought he was like a bit like. I still don't even want to say a bad word about him. We thought he was a nice guy and thought he was a bit slow.
I'm going to give you the timeline if you're patient enough. So then what happened was, right, Emily took offence and Easy took offence. Easy started slagging me off. People probably didn't even notice it because they were too caught up with Emily and Easy. Easy started slagging me off and Emily started slagging me off. So I had two of them that both had blunt with me, right? And it all emulated from Emily coming on to Wendy's show, yeah, where I gave Emily exactly, the live stream's still there, where I said exactly the same thing to Emily, where she went off in the half, and I said exactly the same thing to Easy, and he went off in the half. Right?
You done a stream where it was Wendy going, that Luca thinks that every man wants her, and why would Easy want her? That Luca, and he was there like the psychic, like going along with it. That's what I think. That's what upset Emily.
Well,
it's not always what you say. It's how you are. You know, sometimes it's not the actual words that are said. It's the actual behaviour.
So now I'm getting blamed for something that Wendy said, which is just totally ridiculous because I don't blame you for what we meant.
Yeah, but you lie with dogs, you catch fleas, isn't it? It's as simple as that. It's one of the oldest sayings, isn't it? It's the same with racism. How much stick do you get for Wendy's racialised language?
I don't think that Wendy's a dog. Anyway, that show happened. Anyway, that show happened, yeah? Then what happened is Emily took offence and went back, and then the bitching started. Easy went back and was calling me a snake and everything else, right? I then said to Emily, you don't need to take offence. I said it on Wendy's. You don't need to take offence. I'm not taking sides. This ain't about taking sides. I just want you both to stop arguing. Neither side listened, okay? The difference was most people were supporting Emily. With hindsight, I can understand that now because your little group knew what was going on. I didn't.
Yeah? Can I just say, I'm not privy to any of this stuff. I wasn't about at the time.
We were trying to tell you, you wasn't. Your bias blinded you. You know, you had the rose-tinted glasses on at the time.
Well, sometimes you're not going to listen to people when they're fucking slagging you off in one stream and then coming to you trying to tell you.
At the beginning, it wasn't like that though, Jupiter. And the thing with
But it
Emily,
was.
yeah, in the background, what was happening was, yeah, Easy was firing up streams, yeah, slagging off people and saying some disgusting things, and then by the time everyone else had woken up, he was taking the streams down. So unless you was up all through the night, you wouldn't really have known. So then what was happening was Emily was reacting to him, and then you and Wendy was reacting to Emily as though she was bullying him and everyone was targeting him. But the thing was, I said to Emily in the background, Emily, look, if you carry on, you're going to look like the bad person. So here's what you do. She didn't want to do it at first. She didn't want to listen to me. I said, Emily, do not make a video about him for at least a week. Yeah. And if everything else carries on, at least then other people can see that you've removed yourself from it and he's carrying on and it's not you. And it gives you the moral high ground. And she'd done it. And not only did Easy carry on for the week or 2 weeks, she didn't even come online. She didn't not stream. She didn't even come online. You and Wendy carried on about her as well in that period. And then she come back and started doing it again. But to me, she proved that she wasn't the one behind it. She wasn't the instigator.
I think you made it clear that as far as you're concerned, Emily's completely innocent. I think we know that. But you're not allowing me to give you the time.
He was besotted by it. Sorry.
Yeah, but you're not allowing me to give you the timeline of how I see it. You just keep cutting.
I apologise.
Right.
Sorry,
so then I caught a couple of streams where Easy was he'd become really erratic. I think he made threats. Okay. Now you're quite right. It appears that there was a lot of streams that we didn't see, but I did catch one where he was making threats. And I went over there to try and calm him down. The way I saw it at that point was that Easy was the one that needed to be brought back to reality. And it wasn't going to happen by just going, fucking stop that now, this, that, and the other, because he would have just ignored that and then carried on being a nutcase, right? So I went over there to try and calm him down. Not in behind the scenes, on the scenes, on the live streams. I would go on there and talk to him. I would try and give him emotional support. I thought he was having a breakdown, right? It was my way of calming him down.
Mm.
Yeah, you can say it was babying him, but whatever.
Essentially, it's enabling him because everything could have been shut down long before, and then the other women that he victimised wouldn't have happened.
How would it have been shut down long before? How would it have been shut down long before?
Because with yours and Wendy's support came the people that supported you and Wendy also gave Easy support. So Easy was getting a lot of support he wasn't entitled to. That made him a lot more confident and a lot more stronger.
Yeah, but everybody was telling him at the same time. Right. Now, what you didn't know, and I didn't know at the time, is that also there was other people also getting involved behind the scenes with Easy. I'm not going to name them, but there was other people that were going into live streams behind the scenes, not on air, and they were giving him advice as well. So he's getting advice from more than one place, right?
Yeah, I know you mean. Thin Lizzy gets himself involved in everything.
Right?
Exactly what you mean.
So there was advice going on that I wasn't aware of as well. And then I wasn't at the time talking to Cam, which made it also another angle because Cam then became a regular on Emily's, right? And I'm not blaming Cam, but you know what women are like. So Emily felt that I was
Easy sort of stopped, and then Real sort of stopped. Yeah.
So it became a little bit that kind of politics came into it at the time, and then on top of that, a couple of weeks later, I fell out of Angel Moon. And then Angel Moon was over there. So another politics came into it. Okay.
Did you friend to Doc's Angel Moon?
No. What I said was she was going on. She was going on, and I said she forgets that I've said. She said, oh, that she was worried that I was going to show her a photo or something. No, she said, oh, What was it?
She said you threatened to show her phone.
Something about looks or something, and I said she forgets I've already got her photo. And people from that turned that around to, oh, that's a threat. She's going to look. I fell out with Streets. I got all Streets details. I've never ever given them out. I know his real name, his second name, his bank account. You know. So, AV, I didn't. And if you can bring it to me, and I'm wrong, but in my recollection, no, I didn't. And I think it might be the way that people interpret it. And a lot of times people interpret it wrong.
I didn't hear it from people. I'll make my own decision. I heard it from Angelman say that you threatened to dox her picture that she'd emailed you previously.
I know nothing of any of this story that's going on at the moment.
Yeah, so that complicated it again. That brought a third dimension into it. All the while, Easy was still being a bit random, threatening to take his own life. And all I could see was that he was having a mental breakdown. There was now another group over there constantly bitching about me, right? And so I gave up. And so I gave up even being remotely interested in wanting to go on that show. And yes, I did bitch back. I'm not going to deny that I've never said anything against Emily or Angel Moon or Cam.
No, I'm not. Listen. Everyone falls out. You can't. Not everyone can get along. I completely understand that. The point I was trying to make is that I feel that you got that scenario wrong, and I think that you should. I think that you should own it. That you actually got it wrong. That you actually believed a lot of what he was saying, and it wasn't true.
I've already said that twice now on show streams.
Oh, sorry, well, I haven't heard it. So
yeah.
That's all. That's all. Listen, I can't.
That is how. Then, as things progressed, Brian Hill got himself involved, and Esau. Yeah.
No, not really.
Yeah, they did, and then
involved?
Because Brian Hill started making his own streams.
Yeah.
And he started getting involved, and he started saying that
no. That's not what happened, Jupiter. What happened was because Easy was in your little crew, and you was defending Easy against people. He took it upon himself. He took it upon himself to defend you and Wendy against Brian Hull. So he injected himself into that situation. That's what started that. They didn't start with him. He started with them. He was saying, come on my show, Brian L. Butt plugger. Do you remember? It's all on Paul M's channel anyway, to be fair.
Okay. Well, as far as I recollect it from my side, Zubida on her Easy stream one night when I wasn't even around. He went on to Easy stream. She went on to Easy stream and said that she was going to pull up on him. That's my recollection.
Oh yeah, because the problem was Jupiter. Uselot was giving him a strength that he didn't have, and he couldn't. He was getting himself involved in arguments that were nothing to do with him, and he could not handle the backlash. Like so, now all of a sudden, the people that were aligned with the people he was going against started trolling him, and it sent him crazy. Essentially, he didn't know where the trolling was coming from.
Yeah, that may be true.
Because he was taking on too many things that had nothing to do with him, and mentally he couldn't handle it.
Yeah, that may be true, but no one told him to do that. And like I said, as far as I recollect it, Zubida went onto his show to attack him. Right?
Yeah, but I don't think it was out of the blue. To be fair, like, I don't agree with. She said I think she said something like "bog the boy," we're pulling up on you or something like that.
Yeah, right. Now I wasn't even on that stream. I wasn't around when that happened. In fact, I didn't find out until the afternoon of the day after. I think it might have even been 2 days later. And then he said, "Oh, did you know Zubida threatened me, etc., etc., etc." But anyway, that's irrelevant. I'm trying to tell you how I see it from my perception.
Yeah.
So, that apparently happened, and then it was around the time that Hurl started up his own show. He started up his own show, and he started going at Easy because of that altercation between Zubida and that. Esau also got himself involved. They all said that he'd done all his suicides and everything else, right? And I did feel sorry for him for trying to commit suicide. I would feel sorry for anyone.
Of course, anyone. Yeah, of course.
Right. I didn't want to see, because I, from my perception, he was having a breakdown, and it didn't matter who else was to blame. I felt that people should just stop arguing with him, and let's try and get this fucking man some help.
I actually come offline a little while because it really affected me that he was done a stream on me, blaming me for it, and that kind of
right. Yeah, but I don't think people were believing Easy who he was blaming. People just wanted him to calm down.
Yeah,
I think some people were getting the blame.
Yeah,
and getting
you said on Wendy. You said yourself on Wendy's show that I was to blame. I was in the chat, remember? And I was trying to point out stuff, and you said, "No, you're to blame. You're part of it." Remember, you said, "Jump on." I said, "I can't."
Yes, because you were getting yourself involved and making it
already got me involved
between Emily and Easy, when really it wasn't even. It wasn't even that anymore, as far as I'm concerned. It was the fact that this man is having a fucking breakdown, and what is the point arguing with someone who's having a breakdown? They're obviously not in a real frame of mind to be. Whereas everybody else was going, no, he's not. He's pretending. It's all a lie. This, that, and the other. And to this day, I still think that he did try and take a real overdose. I don't believe it was laxatives, by the way.
I don't believe it was I don't believe it. I don't believe it was laxative. I don't believe it was a genuine attempt. I think it was like it was an attempt to make people feel sorry for him because he'd done it. There was a pattern of behaviour doing that. Do you remember the thing with Chartel when he come on and he was crying and all that? And he got everyone to feel sorry for him, me and myself as well. Do you know what I mean? And no one ever got to the bottom of that. That was another. He was getting attached to women that he was talking to on these streams, and then he was getting their numbers and messaging them privately.
That I will agree with. That became evident later on.
Yeah.
But you have to let me go along my timeline. You have to let me go along my timeline.
I know.
Keep jumping. So Hurl then got himself involved, which made it even harder because now me and Wendy had our own problems with Hurl, as everybody knows.
No, Wendy had a problem with Hurl. You got yourself involved. Let's say it how it is, really. Like, you might have been defending her, but you injected yourself into it. He never had a problem with you initially.
Well, okay, if that's the way you want to say it. Again, that's your prejudice using language that's emotive, but whatever. So, what do we call it? I had my problem with Hurl. I mean, it's easy for people to say that when, it's not your address being consistently doxed all the time, but whatever. So, we had our own issues with Hurl. And then we had Easy who had his issues with Hurl. And then Cam and Shell, unconnected to us, they ended up having issues with Hurl.
Yes.
It was at that point with Hurl, right, where he got into it, he got so out of control. I would say Hurl was even worse than Easy, even though Easy's done a lot that I found out afterwards. And I think
Hurl was a bit of a hype train. To be fair, I think it's all hyped up. I don't think it's as bad as what people make out.
I went on to.
He's hilarious.
I went on to Shells, and that's when we let the barriers down. It took me and Cam a good few weeks, and I still wouldn't say we're best mates, but we're back to the status quo before, where there's that group that have got their own little group, and I'm cool with them, they're cool with me, but we're not particularly close. We're back to the status quo now. But before that, me and Cam were really, really angry with each other, really angry. But I went on to Shells, because I never ever fell out of Shell, believe it or not. I went on to Shells, Cam was on there, and we got talking, and then Shell said to me, the thing is, there's a lot going on in the background with Easy. He's done this, he's done A, B, C, and D. And that's when I was like, oh, I never knew any of this. Right?
Mm.
And so that's when I started to realise, okay, it's not as clear cut as what they're saying and everything else. And that's when I backed away from Easy completely. And what I did was, I just didn't go on his shows. I blocked him because he started following me around everywhere, saying I was a snake, Jupiter snaked me.
Can I just jump in quickly? Yeah, like you said, like once Shelwood told you that you stopped interacting with him, you didn't. But he was still going through what you thought he was going through when you was interacting with him. So what was the difference? The
difference was that the minute I stopped going on his show, he started writing stuff. He started sending me emails that I didn't even bother opening, to be fair. I still haven't read them. He started sending me email after email after email.
What I mean is you stopped interact. Like all that was a reaction to you sort of dropping him out. What I mean is, why did you drop him out then when he was clearly still going through his breakdown that you thought he was going through before, but you weren't prepared to drop him out then? Why was you prepared to drop him out for Shell, but not for anyone else? Why was you prepared to listen to Shell and no one else? What was the difference?
Because Shell never went around dissing people at all. Shell never shown any. I know for a fact she's really close to Cam, but she has never shown any prejudice in the fact that she's very close to Cam.
So basically, because Shell said it, you believed it.
She's more balanced because she's more balanced than a lot of the others.
Okay. Even though I was trying to tell you, and when Shell and all that was making the videos of Godzilla, Jurassica, and all that, and before it was held, the content was all about you, wasn't it? Ricky Millwall and all that, all their content was about you, and I was supporting you then. But my word weren't good enough.
Well, I don't remember you doing that, to be fair, Urban.
You don't remember me doing what?
I don't remember ever receiving report. I've always seen you as somebody that just trolls, basically.
Stupid. I was supporting you for fucking ages. People used to slag you off on Real's channel, and I would jump on and chase them off. That's the first time I ever jumped on a panel, was to defend you against Dan and that fucking silly cunt Truth or whatever his name was. I
do remember that. Yeah, I do remember that. So,
by defending you, I'd get abuse from Streets and that's channel and Raspex and all them lots channel. All the abuse started on me from defending you lot. I weren't defending you lot position. I was defending you as an older lady from my own community.
Okay, well, for that, I apologise, Urban. If you were sticking up for me and I never recognised it, I apologise, and thank you for doing that at the time. So,
yeah, all right. I was getting at is like we was trying to explain to you that what Easy was doing, and what happened with me. I know you're saying it was Shell, but the way I noticed it was as soon as that Nin said that something that Easy had told Nin that he was going to dox back. Everyone took it seriously after that, but it took for that person who had been around for 5 minutes. Was it Nin or something? Bird goes on wasps. Bird goes on wasps. Nin, do you remember?
No, I don't know.
Basically, it was like the cherry on the cake for everyone to actually believe or openly believe, because I was aware that a lot of people knew what was going on with Easy.
No, because even when I made my decision, Wendy was still talking to him.
Yeah.
So I made my decision, and then he started sending me emails. And I thought, I'm going to be honest with people. In most cases, unless you write in the chat what you're sending me an email for, I won't even read it. I'm not going to lie, right?
Yeah.
I get so many emails, I can't even be bothered, right? So when I started getting, and I mean quite a few emails from Easy, right? I would see that I've got an email from him. I wouldn't even open it. I couldn't even be bothered, right? But I would just notice that there's loads and loads and loads. And I'd be like, why do I even want to engage with him when I've already decided not to go on his show? And then he would start following me around on all the shows I was on, going, Jupiter snaked me. She's a snake. She's snaking me. She's snaking me. And so I blocked him. I'm not going to lie. I blocked him.
To be fair, the ones in the chat.
People, But once I've made a proper decision, I make a proper decision, and that's it. I can be quite harsh in some instances.
See
So
the one in the chat. The one in the chat that was calling you a snack. I don't even think that was him. I think that one was actually a troll. I might be wrong though. That's how I perceived it. When you're in the chat a lot, you kind of like all these trolls. You kind of like notice a pattern.
It was him. It was him. It was him.
Yeah, that probably was. But
I just think he was on a lot of medication. So I just blocked him, and I never mentioned him again. I didn't do it, but I still maintain to this day that what Brian Hill done to him was disgusting, and what Esau done to him was disgusting. And people still get upset for me for saying that, but that is my belief.
I don't look. I was one of the first people to turn on Esau. I couldn't. Esau's just an idiot to me. I don't even bother mentioning his name anymore. It's just he's an idiot. He's like he's just not even worthy. The same as Brian. He's just he's what he is. He got exposed months ago. I don't understand why everyone's so obsessed with the pair of them. But their perception was that it wasn't true. So therefore, like remember, that's all about perception, isn't it?
Yeah, but even if you think it's not true, even if you think it's not true, with the 1% chance that it might have been true, and there's no way that Brian went to the hospital records and found out it was laxative, right? But even with the 1% that it may have been true, I don't want to take that chance and have someone's fucking death on my hands.
No, me neither.
And I can't understand any other person that would, right? No. I can't understand why Esau would want to take a picture of somebody which was essentially in their death throes because he was committing suicide, right? And use that picture to troll someone after they've survived. To me, that is just...
but remember, he was saying that... Listen, but what you got to remember, is if you, Jupiter, you probably won't admit this, but I'm 99% sure that it would go this way. If Zubida tried to commit suicide and you thought it was fake, you would openly say that you thought it was fake because you got some animosity between you. It's a little bit when there's something there, it's a little bit different, isn't it?
Verbally saying, oh, I don't believe somebody. I think she was just being a drama queen, to actually taking a picture of her in her death throes at her worst moment.
That's their thing, isn't it? I'm not saying it's right. I think a fucking pair of planks.
I haven't got a problem with them saying that they don't believe it's true. They're entitled to do that. What I have got a problem with is the picture and the way that they trolled him with it. I think that was disgusting. And
they shouldn't have done that.
That's what I've got the problem with, if I'll be honest with you.
No, there's no justifying. There's no defending them with that.
And I know for a fact that I wouldn't do that to Zubida. I wouldn't do that. Look, as much as I hate rapists and paedophiles, I've got too much. You might not think it, but I've got too much class to even do that to them. I just wouldn't do it. To me, it's tacky, it's crass, and it's degenerate. So that's my main issue with Esau. The rest of it, if they want to call him a weirdo, if they want to call him I don't know, a stalker, well, it does look like there's some evidence to suggest that he does get over attached, like in your words, to women, and bombards them, and then thinks that he's got some sort of relationship with them when he hasn't. Yeah, right. Yeah. Well,
I found it sad. I wasn't even judging for it. I was trying to.
I will point this out. There is also another man that does that, and they're giving him plenty of room, and that is Captain. So, I would say that
Yeah. I mean, the thing is, have you ever seen the film?
Yeah, go on.
Have you ever seen the film Usual Suspects? Kaiser Soze, Kevin Spacey.
Great film.
Basically, he's been the whole film is being interviewed, and he's a handicapped man, and he tells them all this story, and they believe him because he's handicapped. And at the end, he walks out, and he's not handicapped, and it all fits in at the end. But that's basically for Easy. Easy was doing the Kaiser Soze. Captain doesn't have the ability, so he's more apparent. It's more obvious than. I mean,
Yeah.
I don't know if he does seem to like the
But
ladies a bit, but I don't know whether he's like.
Captain fits the same MO as Easy, and then we get all the crying that Captain does. We get all the emotional blackmail.
To be fair, I'm not really aware of all that. The only thing I'm aware of with Captain is that he does like to talk to the women a lot. So
Yeah.
that's all I know. I don't know if he's behind the scenes sending emails because they don't talk to him and stuff like that, like Easy was doing.
I think Easy's problem was that he got over emotionally involved too quickly because he needed friends. With Captain, I think there is that little bit more sinister thing, and there is a name for it. I've forgotten what it's called, but basically, I think what he does is he tries to convince certain women that he's the only one that supports them, is their best supporter, and that he's their hero, and then he encourages rows and stuff to escalate and feeds fuel to the fire so that he can be the hero.
To be fair, I'm not really privy. I'm not really privy on Captain.
Oh no, I'm not asking you to comment. I'm telling you that that's just what I believe. I could be wrong. It could turn out I'll be wrong. I mean, I'm not saying I'm right. I'm just saying that that's how I feel about Captain.
But do you think that the people that kind of follow you, do you think people that kind of follow you and Wendy, you kind of influence them and they kind of believe what you say, and then they go on to, let's say we're talking here now, there might be a couple in the chat, they'll go on to Captain and start saying what you said as if it's true, and that kind of stirs up something else.
Right. Yes, and that is one of the not 100% of the people who follow us, but there's always going to be some vulnerable people. Yes.
I mean, there's trolls. I'm learning. I didn't know much about this before. It's only been the last few months I've started to really try and get some form of understanding of trolls. And there's trolls that just haven't even got a personal thing with someone. They'll just go with whatever it is. Jury, come here. Wait, come
here. Dogs out of the way.
There's trolls that would do it for fun.
Yeah, they don't care. They've got no interest. They've got nothing against the person. They just create like something comes out, then they use that and try and upset somebody.
Yeah, and then there's trolls that will actually play both sides. There's all different kinds of trolls. So yeah, of course, there's always going to be some element that will take what I say as verbatim and then go off. But when I say whatever I say,
do you think you have a responsibility to be a little bit mindful for that reason? Get out of there.
Yeah, and I do think that I am pretty mindful, because if I get new knowledge, I actually state it. So for example, when I stopped talking to Easy, and people, there were certain people in Emily Luca's group, I'm not gonna lie, who started suddenly showing up going, oh, you snaked Easy, this, that and the other. They didn't really fucking care. They didn't care. They just were writing it because they wanted to point score. They were probably glad that I didn't speak to him. I particularly would read out their comments because it gave me an avenue to actually say, well, actually, I'm not talking to Easy no more. I've blocked him and I don't want to get involved in it all. So, I do try and be as honest as I can with people if I get new information or things change. For example, Cam. I'm now on talking terms with Cam. I don't have issues with her. She doesn't slag me off. I don't slag her off. Maybe she talks about me in private, but that doesn't really bother me because I don't hear it. I think we've understood the balance that we don't always agree on everything, but there are some serious issues that we do agree. And for those issues, we're prepared to sort of stand together and say, we don't want women being bullied. We don't want this. We don't want that. And I make that clear to people. Right. That's where I stand with Cam.
Yeah. I've got a lot of time for Cam. She's a strong lady, She's. I kind of looked at her a bit different when the streets thing all started up, and they all went over there, and they was all a bit. not really my cup of tea, should I say? But and then later on, and she came back and all that, and yeah, I've got a lot of time for Cam. You know, like I don't agree with majority of
I
her
think
beliefs. I think
removed herself from that. I think she's made it clear that she's not quite what all those people are. Unfortunately, Ralph has a way of branding people and labeling people. Yeah, I think to some extent, Streets
I
and
think
England.
you take Ralph too seriously.
Well, to some extent, I think he even managed to label England and Streets, and I don't agree with their politics, by the way. But I think they were even drawn in by him. To be fair.
Yeah, well, because the thing is these right-wing movements essentially are uneducated people for the majority. Yeah, and it's more educated people that groom them. People like Ralph. He literally groomed them all.
Yeah, well, that's why I do take him seriously, because I've witnessed the people that he's groomed, and I can name some of them for you. So you've got Braden that got groomed. You've got Rashma Akhtar that
Where
he's
did
still
where
working.
did that go to though? Where did that go? But where did that go? Where did it lead? It didn't go or lead anywhere. He's still online, and he hasn't like formed like some army of Bradens or just all online stuff. It didn't go anywhere.
No, because that's not his aim. His aim is not to have a group of people fighting for him. His aim is to make people fight against each other.
But I think you lot create these Brian Hulls and these Esau's and these Ralphs. If you just didn't talk about them and just left them, just starved them of oxygen, they'd just fade out. Like who really cared? Like Brian and fucking Esau got exposed fucking months ago.
To some degree, you're right, but with people like Ralph, no, because they would go off onto, which he is doing, by the way. A lot of people just don't know that he goes onto other panels and that he does do other shows elsewhere.
I think people don't care. To be fair, like he's just a fucking idiot.
Yeah, well, you might not care.
Like, people think he's a good troll. I don't think he's a good troll.
But other people have got a right to care, and if other people feel that it's a threat, people have got a right to call it out and say it's a threat.
The best troll on these streams is Afghan, hands down. The others, they're nowhere near Afghan.
Yeah, Afghan is low enough, but he's also evil.
The brains. Yeah, of course he is. I'm not saying he's not, but I'm saying like,
some of the things
overrate
done as in the real world would be unforgivable, in my opinion.
Yeah,
in the real world,
a couple of days ago.
Yeah, because I believe everybody's nuanced, so I can agree with you. For example,
it's because it's because he was an enemy of your enemy, so he was your friend.
Who?
That's why. Come on. Let's be honest.
Who's Afghan's enemy?
Afghan at that time.
Yeah, who's his enemy?
As soon as he turned on Brian, Esau, Jabida, then he was all right. He was like, oh, he's all right. I know he doxed me and my kids and all that, but he's all right.
So when he came back onto Vellies months ago, when he was still, and he's still with Ralph, and I would say that Ralph's a bigger threat than Brian Hull even. And he's still very much for Ralph.
I think that's trolling though. I think he sees Ralph as a fellow troll. Like they can sort of like bounce off each other, and wind people up together.
No, that's oversimplifying it. So
no, they definitely see each other as brothers in arms when it comes to the trolling thing.
No, but it's more
to the trolling.
Yeah. Afghan definitely sees it like that. He's always seen it like that. Anyone that's a troll, look at Failed Experiment when he used to come around. Afghan took to him like duck to water because he was a similar type of person.
I reckon Pete was right.
Well, he got.
That was his brother or something, I do actually believe that.
I don't know. They look like they're different nationalities.
Yeah, possibly. I just got a feeling. I'm sweating. It's taking out here. Fuck, I feel like I'm going to faint drinking out of puddles. Fuck.
In the real world, I wouldn't. To be fair, I wouldn't. I wouldn't be in social circles with Afghan, but he'd be the kind of person in my neighbourhood that I would nod to, but never talk to. And for that, he's the kind of person that not want to upset, but you'd keep at arm's length.
Me and Afghan will probably be friends in the real world.
I think in the real world, you would like Afghan, and you wouldn't even know what he did online. You would take him on the value of him in the real. I don't think he's like that in the real world at all.
I'm talking about his actions online or in the real world. You know.
Yeah.
So if you
a lot of these
online as he is in the real world, he would be you would consider him the kind of dangerous schizo that you nod to so that he doesn't feel that you don't like him, but at the same time you wouldn't want to be friends with, if you know what I mean. Whereas online, it don't make no difference me telling him that I don't get on with him because we don't meet in real life, you know.
I think my relationship with Afghan would be different. I think we'd actually get along in the real world.
Wow.
Yeah.
You see?
But I know how to carry myself online. That's all the difference is.
Wow.
I don't see. You say that you have dark humor. You say that you have dark humor, but that's what Afghan is. He's dark humor.
Yes, and that's why I laugh at a lot of what he says, but I don't actually agree with it.
I don't agree with any of it. That's why I've always called him out.
Afghan's one of those people that I can laugh at, but go, oh my God, that. You know, when there's a joke and you go, you laugh, and then you go, oh my God, that's disgusting, though. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's the thing.
That's what I mean by Afghan dark humor. Who are you talking to, Urbz? He's got off again.
Yeah, good. That's what you want.
Yeah. Where are you? You're in the gym. All I can hear is loads of kids echoing.
Oh, you hear the kids in the background, yeah?
Yeah.
Oh man, I'm taking the dogs for a walk, and kids are bloody annoying. They're all following the dogs and throwing sticks. I've got 3 dogs in it, so they all want to play with the dogs. Yeah, that's what my estate's like all the time, especially when it's sunny like this. It's always got the sound of kids running around.
I like the sound of kids in summer, though. I like the sound of kids.
Do I.
I love it when you can hear school kids in the playground. Yeah. I like that sound. I'll tell you what else I absolutely love. And the people must think I'm really weird, right, in my family, because I've told them that if ever I get a terminal illness, that they're to visit me early in the morning, and I want to hear the birds singing. Yeah.
Yeah, that's what I'll do. I want a Viking burial, I do.
I don't care if they come to talk to me or whatever, or bring me gifts. No, I'm not bothered about all that. Just make sure you turn up. I get to hear the birds sing, and then you can go back in the room again and leave me for another day.
Yeah, I always end up arguing with the neighbours that moan about it. Tell the kids to keep the noise down. What are they supposed to do? There's nowhere for them to go. There's nothing for them to do. So they're out here kicking the ball about. Leave them alone.
Yeah, I don't like people who moan about kids playing football.
They all need something to do. And when we were growing up, we had this place called Play Centre, and it had everything there. We could do everything: play video games, watch videos, do painting, make candles, all sorts of shit. And they'd take us out on day trips and shit like that. But that doesn't exist anymore. None of the kids around here have anything like that now.
Oh, my back.
All right, be quiet. I'm on the phone. I don't know if it's the same around your area.
So, but yeah, so people the way they.
So I'm trying to get away from the kids now because they followed me to the swings. They shouted out Millie. That's my dog's name. One of my dog's names. That's all you could hear. Normally, my neighbours' kids. They're a bit scared of the dogs, but they seem to come out bit by bit, and they're getting a lot more used to him now.
I don't know. Well, I say I don't like dogs. I don't mind dogs as if they're well trained and they're well behaved, but I wouldn't want to keep one.
Yeah,
Maybe later when all my kids
family
are
dogs.
maybe, but not while I've got children. And not because I think they're detached children, but just because I think a dog is like another child.
It is.
And I don't like
another child.
All the dog shit on the regular and all that. No.
Yeah.
I just think of all the negatives and think, no, I don't want one. They're cute. I don't mind saying hello to a well-trained dog, but yeah.
Mine have been raised around the kids. I've all had mine from puppies, so they've all been raised around kids. There's one of them. She's a bit. She's snappy, but she won't bite the kids. And even if she did, I don't think she could do any damage. Tiny little thing. But she knows her place. The other two, the two that are bigger, the staffs, I could easily leave my babies around them and not have to worry about them. They've never ever shown any aggression to any children or anything like that.
See, now that's something I don't get with a lot of dog owners. They love staffs. I think they're the most ugliest dogs I've ever seen in my life.
Well, I used to get that when I used to have a boxer. People used to say my boxer was ugly.
Yeah.
I think the boxer was the best looking dog I had.
I think it's just because I'm a woman and I'm too feminine. I mean, I like collie dogs. I like them. I like lassie dogs. Don't bring me near any fucking My mum and dad used to have Rottweiler. Yeah.
Oh yeah, they're nice dogs. I think we're gonna end this stream now. Anyway, I might even jump on again. We're definitely going to do it again tomorrow. I'm going to go to Speaker's Corner and do a live show there, do a live stream there. And then after that, I'm going to do the panel show again.
Yeah.
Sorry?
I think Urban. Tomorrow, if he does turn up. Old Billy's been trolling, isn't he? Saying that he's going to turn up outside Brian Earls.
No way.
That's the best way. That's the best way to fight them, though. Just to mess about and troll them back. Right? It's all bollocks, though, isn't it? All these YouTube beefs and all that—they're all just a load of bollocks. No one means.
Yeah, but that's why people shouldn't take it to heart. And Urban, I hope we're back on normal ground again now. And I'm sorry if I didn't recognise you trying to be nice to me before.
No problem. No problem. I was only jumping back on to say that I've got to go now. Anyway, I've got to take the baby around from the dad. So.
Yeah. All right, guys.
Yeah.
Nice play, both of you.
Yeah, nice talking to you, Jukes.
WeeMan, I'm putting the hours today. I expect my paycheck in the post.
It's coming. It's coming. What's it called? I might do another one later on tonight, but I'm definitely going to do it tomorrow. I'm going to go down the park and do a live stream, and then we'll do the panel show again after.
Tomorrow, I've got to go down to my man's in Clacton.
Because I'm on the phone.
And
Sorry, say that again.
Tomorrow I've got to go to Clacton, see my nan and take the kids down the pier and all that. Tonight, a date night.
Date night, yeah?
Date night, I've got to take her
on a promise.
I don't know about that. Fucking hell, mate. I fucking hope so. Fucking don't get much, mate. I'll tell you that much. Fucking hell. Madness, mate.
Alright, cool. Well, if you're about tomorrow, we'll have you on. If not, I'm sure we can drum up a panel anyway.
Sweet, but next weekend we shall meet up again because not a lot of people know that we have been meeting up. WeeMan can testify that I am an actual person and I'm not an incel. And
you have a real face and a real whole body.
Yes, exactly. And I can confirm
you've got legs, not like Afghan.
I can confirm that you are actually over 3 foot, and anyone that says it's different is trolling. And I can confirm that he did get the name WeeMan because he hit himself in the head.
No, you can't.
Got to sleep.
Right, I'm gonna end this.
My reception's gonna cut out. I'm back on my boat now. All right, nice one. Thank you.
Yeah, I'm
Have a
just
nice
getting back
weekend.
into my. Thank you to everyone tuned in. Thank you for joining us and commenting and everything else. We will see you again either later today or tomorrow. Peace, people.